These days, conversations regarding Disneyland or Walt Disney World are about one thing and one thing only: when will the parks reopen? The latest news is that the state of Florida is looking to reopen their economy today as part of a three-phase system. Disney World would probably be part of phase 3, though they haven't actually defined what their three phases are, only to say that they're in phase 1 or looking to open phase 1 today. No word yet on phase 2 or 3. Meanwhile, in California, there is a proposed 4-phase system, though it's actually quite a bit more like the 3-phase system in Florida, because phase 1 is actually, again, where we are right now, total lockdown. Now, California's 4-phase system doesn't actually mention theme parks, amusement parks, or anything like that specifically, which is kind of weird considering, they are a significant part of the overall state economy. Nevertheless, phase 3 does mention professional sports beginning again, but with no crowds. Logically then, you would assume that Disneyland or other theme parks would be pushed back to phase 4, because you can't you can't open a park without crowds. On that note though, there is the slimmest possibility that Disneyland might get an exemption from whatever criteria they set up, very much like the same exemption that they did in fact get when the state of California first instituted their public gathering lockdown, as it were. Disneyland was exempted from those rules. Now, having said that, Disney still stayed closed, regardless of whatever exception they might have had. And I would expect that they would probably do the same thing, even if they were given that same exemption. This could, though, be the reason why theme parks weren't mentioned in phase 3 or phase 4 or in the report at all, because they may have a separate plan for Disneyland. Right now, personally, my best guess is that we won't be seeing Disneyland open anytime this summer, possibly not at Disney World either for that matter. So maybe in the fall. That might be the best case scenario. Now, I mentioned all of this. This is all just preamble for a more interesting part of this conversation. And that is, despite Florida's readiness, their eagerness to get the economy going again, and that includes Disney World, Disney may not be so inclined to do that. Today, just this morning, during a publicly streamed meeting of the Orange County Economic Recovery Task Force, a representative for the Disney company suggested that they do not, this is a quote, do not have any plans to share about Walt Disney World yet. The language is interesting. Not that they don't have any plans to reopen Disney World, but that they don't have any plans to share. But then there was this exchange. One of the task force members asked the Disney rep about the rumor that Disney might wait until 2021 to open. He said, "We would hope that wouldn't be the case. I think it'd be harmful for a lot of Central Florida businesses. Do you think it'll be in the upcoming near future versus longer future?" In other words, when are you going to open, Disney? But of course, the Disney rep responded only with the same thing. "We don't have any plans to share as of yet." And then he went on to say, "Right now, all I can say is that Disney is closed indefinitely." Now, if you want to hear the full exchange, if you want to hear the whole thing, I put a link in the description below. You'll want to skip to the 30-minute and 5-second mark for that discussion. Now, what I find interesting about this is that Disney is, by all appearances, not beholden to the state of Florida. Now, that seems self-evident. A business can open or close as they see fit. But I think the conventional wisdom, the typical thinking here is that as soon as the state of Florida says we're open, Disney's going to open. But that may not be the case. Disney may not want to open right away. It is possible that Disney may be waiting for other signals besides the state of Florida to say that it's okay to go. More directly, they may be waiting for results or feedback from other businesses that have opened as they progress through the phase system. They may want to wait and see what's happening to these other events, these other things that are occurring, and how guests are reacting and how the virus is reacting to the situation being more open. For example, they may want to, and I think this is actually almost certain, they may want to wait for professional sports to reopen again, at least maybe in the state. Well, I guess if sports open, it's going to be the whole league, but they may be waiting for that to happen again, just so they can see how that goes. I think really the bottom line is that Disney doesn't want to take the lead. They don't want to be the guinea pig, so to speak. And this is in concert with comments that they've made in the past. They've been on record as saying that they want Disney guests to feel safe when they're in the park. And this, in this current environment, they want them to feel safe and without any sort of concern. And I don't think you can provide that sense of security and that sense of safety if you're the first one to go. I think it would be very useful for a Disneyland guest to see some sort of visible evidence that people are out there doing things like going to sporting events or going to the movies. They're out there doing things and everything is okay. That the data that follows that is okay. That there isn't this huge spike in cases or hospitals suddenly get flooded or anything like that. Bottom line is that I personally believe that there is zero chance that Disney will take the lead here. In fact, I think that Disney might actually be more inclined to wait until they can open both coasts at the same time, Disneyland and Disney World in Florida at the same time. I don't have anything to back this up, of course, other than my own personal instincts. But I just think it's bad optics for Disney World to be open, let's say, for example, and Disneyland not. Why is one park open and the other not? I just feel like it looks bad. By comparison, you might wonder, Hong Kong and China are on completely different timetables, just because they're going through their own experience in it's on a different timetable. That's the best way I can put it. So they might be well ahead of whatever's happening here in the States. In fact, I think it's very likely, it's very possible that Disney wants to wait to see how Shanghai performs, how Shanghai reacts to a reopening, so they can see how guests are reacting there. In fact, I think it might be very likely that Disney would wait for Shanghai to open before they make any decisions here in the States, because they want, again, to see how guests react to that new environment. But on that note, I think that Shanghai is also waiting. They're not going to be the lead in Shanghai any more than we are here for the same reasons. So they're also waiting to see what the rest of China does, or Japan, or wherever. It's professional sports, people going to movies. China talked about opening their professional sports or their professional basketball league back in April. That was supposed to already be happening, but that was delayed. So I think that there's going to be a domino effect. It's going to start with these overseas leagues and start with China and Japan to see how they operate. Then Shanghai might open, and then when Shanghai opens, you might see Disney World and Disneyland open. Now, here's something that's interesting. I'm breaking into my own report here. As I was writing this report and getting ready to film it, a news break occurred in the state of California. The state of California, Governor Newsom announced that they are beginning phase 2 of their plan this Friday, which is basically the same thing that Florida was trying to do here, Florida was trying to do today, their phase 1, which is our phase 2. That means restaurants, retail shops, and hospitality. These places can all open with restrictions, limited capacity, that kind of thing, masks and all that. By the way, you might wonder about masks. I went out to the store today and there was a sign in front of the store that said, and I hadn't heard this myself, I just found out about this at the Target, that masks are mandatory in Target. So that's probably that's part of their new phase 2 thing that they're getting ready for. So that is going to be a thing. You're going to, in California, you have to wear a mask if you're going out to an exchange with the public. Maybe not necessarily to go walk your dog, but if you're going to go to a store or if you're going to go to whatever thing is open, you have to wear a mask. And with that, it would seem that Florida and California are now almost kind of running parallel, which is a bit of a surprise to me because I felt like this whole time that California was lagging way behind while Florida was moving way ahead, and there had to be somewhere in the middle. But it feels like maybe they have met somewhere in the middle, and California is starting to inch their way forward to gradual phases of total reopening. So I feel like that's pretty good news. I mean, from my perspective, this does feel like progress, notwithstanding any conversation about the science or what's happening with cases today or how that's going. I feel like we're all just kind of mentally aware that it's still happening, that it's still out there. We just, at some point, I guess you got to put your foot forward and see what happens. So that's all we have today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We got more waiting to do, but while we do that, please do take a minute to enjoy our Choose Your Adventure series that launched a few days ago. There's a link on the main channel page. I'll put a link in the description below as well. Enter Disneyland, and then the whole park is yours. It's waiting for you to enjoy. Whatever you want to do, you can do it through our virtual Disneyland tour. I hope you enjoy, and if in the meantime you're still looking to see my face or my wife's face, Liz, or our baby Sophia, you can find us on Royal Dorks. We have a personal vlog channel. Go find us there, Royal Dorks. There's a link for that as well. And until then, guys, please take care, Be safe, be kind to each other, be patient. Please be patient, and remember other people in your daily life. That would make everything so much better for everybody. And again, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Fresh bite!